Now I come to a good friend, an articulate speaker, a passionate speaker who I've shared panels many, many times over the last 15, maybe even 20 years. I don't think any introduction is needed. Zafu Eyesuswork. The question here I was asked to ask you is, you've often heard in public that the playing field is not level for private banks, or let's call it private financial institutions, because he's on both sides. He's both on the insurance side and he's also on the banking side. But more specifically, perhaps, this morning also there was a lot of debate. Why do you say the playing field is not a level one? In other words, it means that perhaps the state banks have an unfair advantage. I guess that's what you're getting at. Why do you say that? And what recommendations do you have to make it a level playing field? And then talk about anything else as you normally do, but the sector. So the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, my dear friend, Zamadena. I have not been seeing you for some time, and I have been missing you, honestly. Yes, we did have several opportunities where we did express our opinions as to what would be better or what would be best for the Ethiopian financial sector. Look, I heard Dr. Kananisa also this morning saying that they are going to start training people for the insurance sector. Am I correct? Yes. I mean, it's amazing. Look, in 1992-93, I was officially asked by the National Bank of Ethiopia. 1992-93 is European calendar. I was not in this country. I was the chief executive of the African Reinsurance Corporation with headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. And one of the things that I was asked then was, what is your opinion about where to place insurance supervision? And I believe a 5-page letter is still in the files of the National Bank of Ethiopia today, which I sent then to Ato Leikun Berhanu, who used to be the governor of the National Bank, saying, whatever you do, please make sure that you do not put supervision of the insurance sector in the bank. To set up an authority, a commission, or some supervisory authority which could be led by a board with the National Bank as the chairperson of the board, but comprising of insurance professionals. That was 92-93. And this morning, the question raised by Ato Yared Molla, the president of the Association of Insurance Companies or Association of Insurers, and the response given by His Excellency, the Minister of Finance. I mean, I was smiling, giggling. I was so happy. It's taken a very long time. But I think በሀገራችን የእውነት በትር ብትመነምንም አትሰበርም. Reality is finally catching up with us. But what about an properly constituted, strong Ethiopian Institute for Financial Studies? A center of excellence for this country. I remember how I fought when the idea of setting up a reinsurance company in this country came up. The discussion was at the Hilton Hotel. I had earlier presented a paper to SIP, Society of Insurance Professionals. We need a national reinsurer for this country. And when the research was made, the suggestion was to set up a reinsurance company with 250 million birr by Ethiopian Insurance Corporation. Look, I love Ethiopian Insurance Corporation because I was its first general manager. And that association will always be part of my life. But that was not the issue. I said, how can you, sitting in Addis Ababa, the headquarters of the African Union, the headquarters of the ECA, and so many diplomatic representations, why do we have to just make it a political capital of Africa? Why don't we talk about making it a capital for business? Create a reinsurance capacity big enough to be trusted and big enough to receive reinsurance inwards from neighboring African countries. Don't think of only minimizing the foreign exchange outflow by way of reinsurance, but think of attracting foreign exchange into Ethiopia. Create a bigger capacity, sell that reinsurance capacity. And at least the capital was moved from 250 million reinsurance company to be set up by Ethiopian Insurance Corporation to a reinsurance company with 1 billion birr and to provide insurance capacity or reinsurance capacity to neighboring countries and to attract foreign exchange. I mean, the potential is still there now. At least the company is there. I'm so happy to see this. Look, in 1999, I think I was the president of the Addis Ababa Chamber of Commerce. We held the first Addis Ababa Stock Exchange Promotion Council. All right? Recently, and I'm happy to say, I was asked by the National Bank to be involved in the discussions to set up the capital market. At least the regulatory authority is set up, and in the not too distant future, there will be an effective capital market operating in this country. And even with a joint venture, experienced, investors with serious experience in capital markets, pairing up with Ethiopian the Ethiopian side. And that really, I think these are the kind of things that really keep me young, although the years are still counting, the clock is going. But Ethiopian Institute for Financial Studies, we should have it, and it is a PPP project, all right? It should be. We have to start it. I'm happy to say that we were asked to submit a preliminary concept note, and that preliminary concept note, was presented to the governor of the National Bank on about a year ago, the 5th of May, 2021. And we are waiting for something to happen. Now, regarding the entry of competitors into our market, I thought this was going to happen 15, 20 years ago, or at least 15 years ago. It is late, but as they say, it is never too late to do the right thing. So we're coming. And this morning, was it Ardak who said how the Chinese opened their market? I think if I heard her right, 19.5% participation, equity participation to the entrance, the foreign entrance. I thought this was going to happen about 4 years ago, when suddenly National Bank said, hey, diaspora Ethiopians, you are owning shares in insurance companies and banks in this country. This is illegal. You have to sell your shares to the banks and insurance companies at par. After they have been holding these shares for 10, 15 years. If they were to sell them outside or to somebody, to an Ethiopian, they would have earned the premium, which turned out to be 50, 60, even 100%. National Bank said, no, you give it back to the institution, and then it will be sold on auction, and the premium will go to the National Bank. I said, for heaven's sake, diaspora Ethiopians, they send more money to this country in foreign exchange than Ethiopia gets by exporting all the goods and services that it can. We should not irritate them. We should not make them unhappy. And besides, how did these people own these shares anyway? Do we really have the true story? Some of them, their parents held Ethiopian passports when they bought the shares. Later on, they immigrated to the US and they died. Naturally, the children got the shares. It wasn't really, the diaspora Ethiopians did not come to Ethiopia and did not buy shares, to make illegal profits. But it is true, because I know the cases, some of them. That was what happened. So I said, please, let's take 6 months, and the foreign minister, Dr. Tedros Adhanom, I requested a special appointment. He received me in his office with 2 diplomats with him. This was about June, July. There was going to be a big diaspora meeting in Bahir Dar in 6 months' time. I said, look, let's take this window. Let's please change or make some changes in our regulation to let diaspora Ethiopians who now hold shares in banks and insurance companies, let's say that non-Ethiopians, we don't even have to say diaspora Ethiopians, non-Ethiopians can own shares in Ethiopian banks and insurance companies up to 10%, up to 15, 25%. If we do that, then we don't have to force these people to sell their shares. And we have 6 months to do it. He was convinced. He could not convince the National Bank, though, so it didn't happen. Right? Look, yes, the market should open. We should have been preparing for this the last 10, 15 years. We haven't done so. But as I said, it's never too late to do the right thing. Let's start training, night and day now. And let's say that entry should not be like what happened in certain countries in the past. I think the 2 countries that are most mentioned are Philippines and Argentina. Overnight liberalization of the whole sector. the financial sector is a sensitive sector. Even UNCTAD said several times that a nation has to have some degree of control over its financial sector if resources are to be directed to priority sectors of development. So now, as I said, yes, I have listened, sir. I have been saying, if you have listened to me over the radio or in writing, I have said, well thought out, planned, phased, and sequenced liberalization. Let's allow non-Ethiopians to invest in Ethiopian financial sector companies, let's say up to, I don't care, up to 49%, at least for the next, I don't know, 3 years maximum. All right? After that, the capital market, the stock market will do the job. People will buy and sell their shares there. In the meantime, in these 3 years, the smaller banks who cannot afford to meet the requirements, let's get together. Mergers, acquisitions, inorganic growth, even for those that are well capitalized by now, because the biggest bank, $200 million worth, Awash, which is the leading bank, which is a successful bank. By comparison, where are the rest? So we do not need all these small banks, all right? And I know also what happened in Nigeria. From 120 banks to about 20 banks, they came down. That is the way forward for me. Thank you.
I told you he's a very passionate speaker with lots of ideas, always, original ideas, and he doesn't hesitate to express his views as well. This is one of the trademarks of Zafu Eyesuswork over the years. Well thought out, phased, sequenced, planned, opening up is what he's suggesting, and I completely agree. He agrees with the M&A ideas that I have, so I like him even more.